I'm fighting a war to advance the kingdom. If atheists want to join me in that mission, then I'll fight with them too. Illegal entrepreneurship is much harder than legal entrepreneurship. In illegal entrepreneurship, I'm worried about getting killed. I'm worried about getting arrested. There's a lot of concerns that I had in that game that I don't have in the legal game. If you have the desire and you want it bad enough, you can change your life. There's no excuses for that.
How important is a company's mission? Folks, if you guys don't know Ryan Blair, you can follow him, Real Ryan Blair, on Instagram. You can Google him, Ryan Blair. He started many companies, one of which was a massive MLM company, Visalis. And you sold that. You just keep exiting, keep hitting the home runs. And now you've got Altar Call. Yeah. And folks, you guys might want to pay attention. Altarcall.com. He ultimately helps, I would say fairly good size entrepreneurs get ready to scale, exit, and basically consult them.
Yeah. We also provide some recruiting services, and, we help them build and scale their company in the core areas that we're experts in. But yeah, we work with kingdom-based companies, generally doing 10 million plus in revenue. That's kind of where our sweet spot is. And we take them, as fast as we can to either, $100 million plus or exit.
Dan, I should have found you a couple of years ago. Of course, I'm glad I still did, though.
Yeah.
When did you start Altar Call?
6 years ago.
What made you do that?
I went on a journey after I sold my company. I took a couple of years off, got really connected spiritually, made a decision that I wanted to mentor people. And I didn't have a great idea. Like I didn't have a company I wanted to start. So I just started mentoring people. And I fell in love with serving others and helping people build their businesses and helping them get those like first time moments that the first exit or the first venture capital raise or the first, $1 million month. And I fell in love with helping people get to those kinds of accomplishments, having done so myself a number of times over.
Do you reach out to your Rolodex to help them or do you just guide them to find their own way?
I reach out to them. I live in their problem set. Think of me like a fixer. So if an entrepreneur is having a challenge scaling their marketing or their sales or their revenue, just as though I were on your board of directors, I'm living in that problem set. I'm reaching out to whoever I know to help them solve the problem. And if I can't solve the problem or at least tell them exactly how to do it and what to do, then I'll bring someone who does.
And what kind of process does this look like? It's not an overnight thing. You don't talk to them on a 1 hour call and then know their problems, do you? Or can you?
Yeah, I can assess where the constraints are in a business very quickly, and I can assess where the lever points are. And then you just go to work on the biggest constraint that you can identify, and then maybe the greatest opportunity. It's a practice I've developed in turnaround. So I've come into companies that were bleeding money, big companies, and turn around very quickly. So I can get in there and just see where the problems are very fast and then, put a plan together to take action.
Well, how do we role play?
Yeah.
We'll use Lightspeed as an example.
Very brave of you.
Well, let's pretend that I called you and I'm anticipating hiring Altar Call or engaging.
Yeah.
Because again, one thing, listeners, you guys need to know, people like this, again, they don't need your money. Like you could retire the rest of your life, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Your last company, or maybe it wasn't your last company, but Visalis, I remember reading, sold for like a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, so $792 million.
$792 million.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. Did you have to pay off this huge debt? Where'd all that money go?
To nightclubs and a lot of stupid stuff. But I didn't own 100% of the business. I had brilliant partners. I also had investors. I did really well from it as the CEO, of course, but it wasn't 100% me. I just bought the company when it was doing $20,000 a month. I leveraged a buyout and I scaled to $65 million a month, and then I exited it and I raised the money. I brought in the investors and then took it through the exit as well.
Now, where did you learn to do this? Did you go to like Harvard or some Ivy League school? No,
I was blessed to have some mentors early in my career that were very successful venture capitalists. And I grew up in the .com era, the 1996 kind of time frame. And the biggest thing to do was raise money from venture capitalists. So I set my dreams to do that. And I raised money for some big VCs and got my first exit at a young age. So I learned the process through that. And then, I've done it multiple times over.
And see, that's where I missed the boat. Like Never raised money, never even thought about it, and should have.
Yeah.
Guaranteed I should have raised that money.
Yeah, it depends. I'm helping an entrepreneur right now that's a young man contemplate raising money. He has a term sheet from a big VC, and you can go it alone now more than ever. If you can build each practice area in a business professionally. A business is just a series of practice areas. So you have your people, which is your recruiting, your culture, your onboarding, how you hold them accountable, how you manage them, the different practices around your people. You have the structure, how you compensate those people, and the reporting lines, your organizational theory. And then you have your process, right? And if you can develop competency in all those practice areas, you don't need a venture capitalist.
Yeah, you need scale.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And depending on the model, of course, some models are more capital intensive, so some models require capital sources, but nowadays you could scale businesses much faster than ever. And it's really exciting.
How so?
You just have access to an unlimited amount of customers. So with paid media and the modern channels of distribution, as well as the massive SaaS stack that I can deploy in a company, I have access to billions of dollars of software that I would either have had to develop on my own or buy servers for, say, 20 years ago when I was first starting out. So now I'm getting, business intelligence and all kinds of intelligence that I would have had to pay a lot of money for before. So if you're a competent entrepreneur, you can do things unlike anything you could do before, especially with AI now as well.
What if you're an incompetent entrepreneur and still in business after 25 years?
Then you got to surround yourself with some, you're not incompetent. Look at this place. It's amazing.
Dude, this is in spite of me. I'm serious.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I was trying to close Visalis on using Lightspeed.
By the way, I was the guy who signed the contract. I remember that.
Yeah, but it didn't deploy like it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got one, it was called Zeek Rewards. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got them to, first of all, we don't want to do any of that. Because I always consult whoever's using Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because Lightspeed is not just a learning management system. It's a technology that allows you to create interactive content and then deliver, track, and measure it with accountability. And then it was wrapped in training, because that's kind of how I created it originally. But it's a tool. And especially with MLM, they have to train those people. And the turnover in an MLM industry is crazy. Yeah. But if you can increase their ability to succeed, it's a win-win for everybody. So I would get a MLM on board, and then they just use it for a training library. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, let's do this. And a lot of them don't listen. But anyway, long story short, I got Zeek Rewards finally to listen. And they owed me, when they got shut down, they owed me $790,000 for the month. And again, they were making ridiculous amounts of money.
What were you charging per user for that?
I was rev sharing.
Because I built a mobile app service provider for the MLM industry at one point, and we ran into a problem when companies had to pay us too much money. It became problematic. You don't want to take too much from the company, because then they're going to try to figure out a way to either build it themselves, or it's going to create a problem in their cost of goods sold. So there is a healthy spot where, but if it got shut down, you couldn't have prevented that anyways.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. It was working and they were all happy, and they got shut down because they said it was a Ponzi scheme. But we have MLM companies. Monate uses Lightspeed. But again, to me, they're not using it right. Yeah. So what I mean by that is, imagine I sell you a Ferrari, and then I stop by, a year later, and I see you sitting in it, listening to the radio, waiting on the bus because you want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that thing starts, right? And then you're like, what do you mean? I thought it was a comfortable place to listen to music. So with the interactive video creation tool that's inside of it, you can make interactive landing pages, interactive videos, interactive courses. And when you use it properly, whether you're a course creator or a company looking to train people better, you leverage that interactivity, and there's nothing else on the market that can do it.
So if I were just to straw man this with you, why haven't we gotten adoption in the MLMs? It's likely because the leaders don't understand the power of these tools. oftentimes corporate and leadership are, they're opposed to each other. Their interests are not 100% aligned. So corporate seeking to maintain control of the brand, control the field. The field wants to promote the brand however they please. And so sometimes you have these opposing forces that actually kill your adoption plan. So that might be what's going on in some of these.
Yeah.
So I'd be getting direct to the leaders. I'd be putting the tools in their hands. I'd be training the leaders, making sure that they're driving adoption, because the corporation is not going to drive adoption. They don't teach their field how to train. And generally they don't teach their field, how to be more creative, in video and so forth.
If I give you a good idea, have you ever seen the movie The Jerk?
Yes.
Remember how he got rich because the guy came into the gas station and he ended up making it and he was good with his word? If I give you a good idea and you use it and make a huge exit, will you cut me in?
Yeah, sure. We'll negotiate this on air right now. What's the idea?
Because, dude, I have a million great ideas. I just only executed a few. And I'm so busy with those few. But the bigger ones, Jesus, I'm telling you, they'd be big. This one I was going to call the app called Wildfire. And it's mainly MLM related because in the MLM space, obviously it's network marketing. You got to get the word out. So if you look into my phone, let's say there's 3,000 contacts in here. Yeah. Well, on average, what are those contacts worth? So you download this app called Wildfire because it spreads like wildfire. It scores
your network.
Well, it just reads your contact list and then does math and says your contact list is worth roughly $788,000 in commissions. Would you like to mine it? Yeah. I hit yes. It'll send a text message for whatever opportunity I'm in to all of my phone, properly done. And then it pops up and does the math in their phone.
Yeah. You'd have to factor in the influence of the individual. So how much influence do I have over that contact list? Right? How likely are they to? So you'd have to look at how frequently I'm communicating with them, even the tone and intention behind my communications. Am I the class clown that everybody loves but nobody buys from? Or am I highly influential in my circle? So in order to really score the probability of conversion of that contact list, you'd have to have some other factors in there as well. But it's a great idea.
Well, you do the math, but if I got a text from you or anybody, my little brother, and it popped up and it basically scanned my contact database, did some minor math and said, hey, Brad, you have $600,000 in your contact list. Would you like to get it? My answer would be yes. and then it would basically say, okay, well, we're going to send a message to your contact list and basically do the same thing.
Yeah, we built an app that used like a tender functionality where you would just swipe your contact list and then send them into an autoresponder. So when a rep enrolled, we pulled up their contact list and they would swipe hot or not. And if they liked the contact, it sent them into an autoresponder. And then we could see all the way down the downline. So we built this technology ourselves, who was actually inviting people. And then the uplines could help them on conversion, because as you know, in sales, activity and conversion are the two things that we have to really dial up. And oftentimes activity is one thing, but conversion is another. So we built a lot of technology around that at one point.
All right. So let's use Lightspeed as the example company. Okay. What would you ask me?
Well, why haven't you turned this into a $1 billion company?
Incompetence, lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, and lack of leadership, the ability to attract and build a killer team.
Well, I mean, I've seen lots of very prominent leaders sit in this chair here. So you've had access to skills and talents, but why haven't you brought them to the table to help you?
Well, most of them are doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And nor did I raise money to have enough to pay them. Like, what would I have to pay you to come do it?
A lot.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
And I've never really contemplated raising money to where I could say, okay, Ryan.
But is it, for example, if I said I want $1 million cash to come help you get this prepared for exit, let's just say that. Is it that you don't have the $1 million in cash, or is it that you don't value yourself enough to pay someone else $1 million in cash? Because when I work in large organizations, there's people on the payroll making many millions of dollars, and the CEOs are very comfortable with that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be because I don't have the million. It would be if I give it to you, I better hurry up and have that turn around quickly.
Yeah.
And usually whoever wants the $1 million in cash will always say something to the effect of, well, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, then, I think you have to optimize the agreement. So if I were on your board, I'd be saying, how do we optimize these agreements to ensure that we drive the results that we're looking for? How do we de-risk this? What are the unintended consequences of bringing a person like me on? And then how do we make sure that we get that ROI? And I'm ROI optimizing every relationship that I have in every company that I'm a part of. But that's the way I would look at it. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of risk, of course, but you want to de-risk it as much as possible. So maybe you would have some thresholds on the payment terms. I'd have to see progress in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Otherwise, all bets are off. So de-risking the agreement would be really important.
How would you vet the potential consultant? Like, how would I know if you know what you're doing other than looking at your history?
Yeah. Well, obviously you can reference check as one area, but it's really what is their plan over the next 90 days? Do they have the ability to execute on that plan themselves, or do they have a team that they're bringing with them that they've worked with that are competent, that can get the job done as well? Because oftentimes you bring in a consultant and then they just start making recommendations for you to spend more. So your $1 million consultant's now going to cost you $5 million and you're still not going to get the same result. So I'd be really, just like I was hiring an employee, I'd be vetting them, asking deep probing questions, making sure I was aligned in their values, testing, how switched on they are, how excited they are about this opportunity, and how willing they are to work and how many hours they're willing to put in to get the, results of the opportunity. So much like an employee that I'd pay $1 million to, I'd vet them extensively, and I'd want to have 10 candidates for one hire. So if I was looking for a marketing consultant, I'd be talking to 10. I'd be making them go through a lot of hoops to get the job. And then I'd be optimizing the contract to make sure that I de-risked it and then I got the result.
Well, most marketing people that I've talked to, they're very successful marketing other stuff.
Yeah.
So they've never been willing to take on Lightspeed.
Yeah, but if there was an exit, if I could produce, if I came in here and I took less cash and took some equity and participated in the exit value of the company, it could be the most lucrative marketing gig I ever got, right? So I could make tens of millions of dollars. There's one company that I took an equity interest in because, I really believed in the company. And the amount that they paid me in equity was far greater than what they would have paid me in cash. So, if you do have an exit in mind and you're optimizing for that, it could be very lucrative for the right person.
Did you exit that company?
I'm in the process of that right now.
So you just keep batting 1,000.
No, not. I don't bat 1,000. I'm just sharing the winners. I could share a lot of losers too.
What are some of the losers?
Well, I've made investments in entrepreneurs that they weren't really committed to taking feedback, iterating quickly. Maybe they had too big of egos.
They weren't coachable.
And they weren't as committed. I tried my hand at venture capital for a while, and I didn't like it because I'm an operator and I really love getting wins and improving systems and driving efficiencies. And some entrepreneurs are not optimized for that. They're trying to get rich.
Well, I'm not that guy, but I'm also not the operator. I need a solid guy like that to focus on those things.
Yeah. The entrepreneurs that I tend to mentor the best are the ones that are hardcore operators. They want to learn every practice area. They're constantly learning machines. And now that doesn't mean that you have to be that. We would just have to surround you with people that are that and make sure that we're not finding people that are like you. We're finding people that are not like you and that, they're clipboard carriers. They're walking around checking the, every process, making sure that everything is scaling and operating to its highest efficiency possible. So you could surround yourself with a team of operators. You don't have to be an operator.
Yeah. Well, that's, if you ask me, why haven't I sold for $1 billion? Because I failed to do that.
Yeah. Because we tend to hire people that are like us, that have similar attributes to us, and if you're really highly indexed on sales, like you certainly are, you need to surround yourself with people that are indexed, in finance and operations and making sure that you're in your gift zone and that any constraint or any bottleneck is being removed so that you're constantly in your gift zone.
Yeah. What do you think when companies don't eat their own cooking?
I mean, I think that's a problem. I think you have to live in your problem set. You have to use your own software. You have to, practice what you preach every step of the way.
Yeah. See, that not too long ago, I was looking to grow and scale my sales team.
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't really want to, because now I'm going to have to go train people manually. And our software is a training software.
Yeah.
Like, we should have been able to go, oh, that's not a problem, bang, and execute what we're preaching everybody else to do.
Yeah.
And when we started to go down that road, we started to realize, like, dude, this isn't as easy as it sounds.
Building and scaling a sales team. I got up to 4,500 full-time salespeople. You have to build systems, and the systems scale the sales team. You can get kind of caught up in hiring personalities, and you really need to build systems that scale your team, particularly in sales. Otherwise, it can be like herding cats, and it can be painful.
Yeah. So especially if you're a training software.
Yeah. Yeah. But if I were in your shoes and I saw that gap, I would say, okay, how do we close that gap? Because there's some fundamentals in there as well. There's some values in there that we need to shift the culture around here to operate in this value set, because this is what we're instructing our clients to do. And I'd be hardcore closing that gap, because it breaches values.
100%.
Yeah.
See, I just learned that after 20 some years. I mean, I started this in 2000.
Yeah.
Almost by accident. I helped some dude that was making minimum wage make some money through training him how to sell and close. Watched how that money impacted his family and him. Thought, man, that's cool. I want to do this for a living. The whole time, by the way, up till 30, I was just trying to get rich. Never could really get past $500,000 a year. As soon as I quit worrying about getting rich and started worrying about helping people. Little did I know that was a little secret.
Yeah.
So I just accidentally figured out, hey man, I want to help people. So I started helping people, went out to help people, figured out it didn't work. Figured out why it wasn't working, developed the software, Lightspeed, to fix it. Still didn't work. I mean, it worked. The software started working, and then I ran into another obstacle, which was competition. Then I realized, man, rather than try and compete with these big names, big budgets, let me just go collaborate and close them. So I put them on my software and let them go get all the customers I couldn't get. Then it started to actually work.
Yeah.
Then we just focused on the software. But 25 years ago, there was nothing online.
Yeah.
So I technically started the whole industry.
You did. Yeah. I remember using your platform. So you're an OG.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know if I presented it to you or Blake.
Yeah, my partner Blake. But he and I worked very closely together. So he brought to me. I remember talking about the contract, and I had been very involved in the building of our platform and the software that powered our field. So I knew all about you.
So where's Blake?
Blake's now the Chief Strategy Officer of Herbalife.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Dang, that's a good spot.
Yeah,
Herbalife's huge.
Yeah, he's taken off.
Yeah. So when you guys founded the company, how did you know Blake?
They had sought me to mentor them. I'd had my first exit, and a couple of the people on my sales floor in that exit had worked in network marketing for Nick and Blake. And so I was introduced by members of my team.
So they found you.
They found me. They asked for help. I then helped them engineer a buyout of the company, because they were the only asset in the company. So I helped buy the company. I brought in investors, then helped scale it, and then exited it.
Yeah. So there's your evidence right there. Were you faith-based back then?
I've always been deeply faith-based, but I didn't understand to the degree that I do today how it worked. And I had some real conflicts that pulled me away from my faith constantly, by way of how I was raised and some of the desires that I had. So, it was a struggle, but I had faith in me. And I feel that all of my success is attributed to that, and all of my failures have been attributed to the absence of that. Was that one?
Well, yeah, people need to listen to that.
Yeah.
What do you say to these people that are a little bit agnostic or atheist?
I think what do I say to him? I love him unconditionally. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to broadcast my beliefs. It works for me. It works really well. And in my spirituality, we're supposed to show, not tell. And I don't like that. I come from a Christian background. And so a lot of my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, they're out there telling everybody. And we need to show. We need to show how the fruits of the Spirit work. We need to show how God works in our lives. We need to exemplify the excellence of our Creator, not run out there and try to correct everybody that doesn't believe exactly what we believe.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
See, I want to be an example.
Yeah. I want you to walk up and say, what is that guy doing? He's glowing. He's radiating differently. He's bearing the fruits of the Spirit in such a way that I want to know what he's up to. And that's how you convert an atheist or an agnostic. It's not by trying to shove your religion down their throat.
Did you ever like denounce or fall away where you're like questioned?
Yeah. And in fact, the people who question their faith are the most advanced in spiritual maturity, because the fact that you ask those tough questions and that you've doubted your faith means you've done the hard work. A person who's never doubted their faith, I don't think they've ever thought for themselves. And the process of thinking for yourself means you're going to have tough questions. You're going to question yourself, you're going to question your faith, and that's what's going to develop your spiritual maturity.
Well, if I asked you like questions that I've asked, and I wonder still sometimes, like, you know, if he's really there, why does he let babies get hurt?
Yeah. Oh, well, there's some things that we just don't know. And, you know, I can tell you what I think is the system, but I think that baby is a teacher. I think that baby is a great master that's here to teach us all to open our hearts and love each other more. That baby taught their parents. That baby's a teacher. And we cannot calculate or comprehend the intelligence of the divine. And the more that we try to do that, the further we get away from it. But we should know that there's a plan greater than anything we can comprehend. And I'll give you a story. I was at the graveyard visiting my grandmother's grave, who was very spiritual. And I saw a little toy in the distance. And I walked over to the gravesite, and I saw that it was a child that had passed away. And it had passed away 40 years ago. And someone had still taken the time to put a toy on his grave 40 years later. And I realized that baby had a role to teach me. Even though I never met the parents, never met the baby, had no idea about the life of that child, I was struck by that child's innocence and the short life that it lived some 40 years after as a total stranger. So when you think about that, God has a plan, and that baby's life made an impact in my life, and their parents will never even know that. So I think that there's a higher level plan at play at all times. We just can't see it in those kinds of scenarios often.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would say, well, that's convenient, the way to explain it away.
Yeah.
So I try to think, man, and come up with an actual explanation, because, you know, God works in mysterious ways. He's got a bigger plan. You know, I've heard that, and I always think, yeah, but, you know, you can let this happen and this happen and this happen. And then I kind of, you know, looked at it and said, it's very similar. I thought you were heading towards what I was about to say, which is, let's pretend for a minute you understand, which we don't.
Yeah.
And in reality, this is just a flesh body. And whether it's a lesson that, because again, I mean, like if you knew that baby was a being and not flesh, because we're not flesh, we're beings. And we being mortal and naive think, oh, look what you let happen, when in reality, that's nothing. That's nothing. You just don't realize that's nothing.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you probably lost some loved ones along the way that led you to that connection, that there is something far greater than the flesh. Yeah. And I think that is the key benefit to being a spiritual person, is that understanding that this life is temporary and we're all going to die one way or the other, and the spirit lives on.
Yeah. And then people also think about this. What if they say there's no time there? So imagine when you pass, you open your eyes and your kids are there and your parents are there. Everybody's there. Yeah. And you're like, well, wait a minute. You guys died too? How'd you die? Yeah. Well, there's no time there.
So what took you down the path of asking these questions? Was it that you lost a loved one and you started asking some deep questions?
No, I mean, I want to know, like, is there a God?
Yeah.
is there this real guy in the sky? You ever listen to George Carlin? He gets you questioning things. Like, there's a guy in the sky.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that someone very intelligent would make up some unseen being to create civility in an environment that they couldn't control. So if I'm, a ruler, and there's, Vikings coming to take my stuff and rape my women and all the things that would happen, how do we stop them if we can't physically stop them? So I know, let's create some supernatural power in the sky that, you'll pay for in the afterlife, and just make up a big old story. That makes sense. But then again, you go back, you start to read scripture, and, there's evidence of this stuff.
Every tribe and every major civilization is made up the same exact story, and some of which were not cross-pollinated. And so we human beings have a deep, deep connection to that story for some reason that is wired into our DNA, well beyond logic and well beyond our understanding of modern civilization. It goes back, far, far longer than that. And in many tribes and societies that were independent of Western society or, Judeo-Christianity, the Native Americans believe that, the Hindus believe that, the Buddhists believe that. And so I think that it's wired within us to have that belief.
They believe in a higher power, not necessarily Jesus.
The divine. Yeah. Well, they weren't introduced to Jesus. And oftentimes, that belief in a higher power predates Jesus. So
you've been reading lately about the Shroud of Turin.
Yes.
What is it? Shroud of Turin. Yeah. Like they're scientists saying that's legit.
Yeah.
That shroud of, what is it? Turin?
Yeah.
Shroud of Turin. Yeah. Shroud of something.
Yeah. There's an awakening occurring.
The burial cloth.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been into the Vatican. I've been blessed to touch a piece of the crucifix in the private Pope's quarters and hold
the actual one.
Oh yeah. And I've held his ring in my hand, and I've been
Whose
a seeker.
Ring?
Pope Benedict's ring. Yeah, so I've been.
But the crucifix is the wood that Jesus was on.
Yeah, behind each Pope staff that they hold and pendant that you see them rub, there's a little capsule, and you open it up, and there's a piece of wood, and they're rubbing. When you kiss the Pope's ring, they're rubbing an actual piece of the crucifix when they rub their pendant. You see Francis; he would always rub the back of his cross. He's touching an actual piece of the crucifix.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's some history.
Yeah.
So I just know that there's a creator. I don't necessarily believe everything I read just because someone wrote it, because men are involved.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how it works. I know that there are forces at work that we can't see, and I've experienced those forces, negative and positive, in my life in multiple ways. So I don't need to know how that system works. I just got to do my best. Overcome the weaker parts of my character and the lesser parts in my sinning nature, and transform into a new person. And I just got to keep doing the work to get closer to fulfilling my purpose. And I don't have to care about how it all works.
Well, why don't you think it's like, if I had kids and I wanted them to know I existed, why wouldn't it be more easily known?
Well, the way to look at the divine is it's kept itself in secrecy for a reason. Because if we knew it was there and we were certain that it was there, would we act differently? Would that impose upon our free will? And so the whole journey is to discover your faith and to discover it one step at a time, one mistake at a time, one bad decision at a time, right? And if the divine were completely blatant and outright, we wouldn't have that process of discovery. So it is part of our system, and the secrecy is an important aspect to it.
Yeah, I wish I just knew the answers.
Yeah, but the secret is one of the answers. The fact that they are intentionally operating in secret, and they're not exposing themselves at all times to all people. They're only exposing themselves to certain people at certain times under certain conditions, is a part of, it's a part of how the system works.
So is this why you're only like really trying to help the faith-based, the kingdom, what'd you call them?
Yeah. Kingdom entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
The reason why I am selective in who I work with is because the wisdom that I teach comes from a source. It's biblical in nature. It's been passed down by many mentors for many generations. And if you don't resonate with that, I'm going to tell you, for example, I'm going to tell you how to have a very difficult conversation and do so in accordance with kingdom-based values, and how to move toward challenges and confront, people that aren't operating as effectively and as productive as they should in your environment. And so the basis of all of my teachings is rooted in that. And so I think it wouldn't work for a person that didn't have similar values. We don't have to have the same beliefs. They could be Catholic or Christian or Jewish, or they could even be Buddhist, but they have to just agree that we're going to operate with these values.
Do you think that would you counsel an entrepreneur to get rid of any atheists that are on their team?
No, I think the atheist plays a very important role. But I would want to make sure that atheist was aligned with the company mission and the purpose of the company. And can they get really activated by that mission? And if they're waking up in the morning and they're jumping out of bed, activated in the mission, then, I'll go to war with a lot of people. I'm fighting, a war to advance the kingdom. And if atheists want to join me in that mission, then, I'll fight with them too. They don't need to have the same beliefs I do. They just need to have the same values that I do. That's a big difference.
Powerful. How important is a company's mission?
It's everything. If you want to hire missionaries versus mercenaries, you need to have a strong mission. That's why Elon Musk is able to drive his people and get so much out of people, is they are sold out on the mission to go to Mars, and they give all of themselves to that mission. So he hires brilliant people that want to give all of themselves to a mission greater than themselves, and they work hard and they work diligently. And his environment is like a beehive. When you walk into it, you get caught up in that hive, and you just become more productive by the very fact that you walked in that door. And so he has paved the way for all of us as it relates to using mission to drive productivity. And he's a good person to look at for that.
Do you think part of it is because they get paid so well? Does he pay well, you think?
Yeah, I mean, he pays. I wouldn't say that he's the highest payer in the marketplace. He's probably, high tier, but he's not the highest tier in the pay bands. But he attracts the best talent.
You think it's because of his personal brand?
It's because if you want to get things done and you want to make change in the world and you want to see you want to see your work create great product, he has an environment for that. A players, they want to be driven. They want to know what they're made of. They want to be pushed as hard as they can. When they're playing sports, they want to throw up after a good practice. You know what I mean? And that same A player mentality applies to business as well. So when I play sports, I want to give it my all. I want to win. And so if I get on a team that's B player or C player, I'm going to be suffering. And so A players want to work with other A players. And that's what he is. He's an A player. And so, of course, he's going to attract other A players.
Well, maybe that's my problem, too, is I'm not an A player.
Yeah. Well, you are.
I don't want to puke after a workout.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going that hard, dude, chill out.
Really? Yeah. Have you ever done it?
Yes, I hate it.
You've done it. Yeah, I don't do it every time, but I
don't want to do it.
You knew, but you had to get there. You had to know what you were made of.
I've pushed hard enough to puke before, but I don't want to.
We don't do it every workout, but you have to know what you're made of and what you're capable of. And in today's woke work culture, most people, they walk in entitled. They walk in like they're victims. They think that the company works for them. They don't work for the company. And they don't realize they're there to utilize, to build a product or a service. And they're taking time and money from a company, and they better give, tenfold what they're taking. And so,
boy, wouldn't that be a dream again? Yeah. Remember that? It used to be like that.
And that's what it should be. People should give more of themselves than what they're taking. And that's how you get a raise, right? That's the culture that I was raised in.
Me too.
And that's the team that I have built in my company, Altar Call. And that's how I advise entrepreneurs to build their companies. But this liberal woke culture of business building, creates a bunch of people crying about this, that, and the other. And it is not conducive to highly productive teams, and it doesn't win championships. You can't build a championship team based on, people that are complaining and acting like victims all the time.
Where do you think the world's going with AI being so capable?
I think AI is going to disrupt everything. I'm investing heavily in it right now and building AI systems in a variety of different core practice areas and businesses. So I think it's going to disrupt everything. And I think we're going to be in for, quite a change over the next 5 to 10 years.
Do you think it's going to replace salespeople?
To some degree, yes. And the reason why is because salespeople is ripe for innovation in that the degree of competency between a low producer and a high producer is very high. So it could be 100 to 1, where a low producer basically costs you money and a high producer makes you tenfold or 100-fold what they charge, right? So I think that variability, that margin in productivity is going to be automated. And I think we'll need less salespeople, but I still think we'll have a role for salespeople because we're all salespeople. I'm selling people to join my company. I'm selling people to become clients. We're always selling somebody something, but I think that we'll eliminate, the less proficient salespeople from the profession, and it'll make those of us that are somewhat proficient, hyper proficient at sales.
Have you ever had to fire a client for demonstrating the opposite values?
Oh yeah, I let clients go all the time.
What are they doing that makes you say we can't work together?
I grow when my clients grow. And so I suffer when my clients suffer, and I live in their problem set. And if I come to the conclusion that I cannot, no matter how hard I've tried, no matter what help I brought to the table, what tactics, strategies, and principles I brought, we're going to still suffer, then it's not worth it for me or for you to continue suffering together. Go find a new mentor. There's probably someone better than me to support you and serve you that's more optimized for who you are in this season of life. No love lost. I'd much rather part ways as friends. I only want to work with happy money, meaning people that are happy, that are growing. When they're growing, I'm growing, and it's exciting. We're getting wins together. That doesn't mean that I won't go live in a really tough environment for a period of a year, because I'll suffer, through a problem set for a period of time to get a result. But and I'll stick it out. But if I come to the conclusion that no matter what I try, that client's not going to, implement the best practices that we've both agreed to, then I got to move on.
Yeah, you don't want to waste your time.
I'll just, I'll suffer. I've when it comes time to renew, I'll either offer them an opportunity to renew or I won't. And sometimes clients have said that it feels like I'm breaking up with them because, I don't offer them an opportunity to renew.
You wrote a book, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I've written a couple.
Yeah. Is Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain one of them?
Yeah. #1 New York Times bestselling book.
Yeah. And what was that one about?
About my journey going from poverty and living in and out of juvenile hall and in and out of gangs to becoming a successful entrepreneur.
You were a gang member?
Yeah.
Where?
In Los Angeles.
Like a straight up thug gang member?
Yeah. I was in and out of juvenile hall. It was in the early 90s when being in a gang was taking over our culture. And it was a very popular thing to do. I joined a gang after my sister's best friend was murdered in a drive-by shooting, retaliated, and almost went to prison, for my entire life.
Damn.
Yeah.
And now you're killing the game.
Yeah, I've had a lot of adversity that I've overcome, a lot of it self-imposed, and then some of it by way of my upbringing. But certainly I've overcome a lot of adversity.
So in case we have any of those guys listening, what's a couple things that you'd just put in their ear right now that they need to consider?
If you're capable of creating a big problem, you're capable of creating a big solution. And illegal entrepreneurship is much harder than legal entrepreneurship. And when I realized in illegal entrepreneurship, I'm worried about getting killed. I'm worried about getting arrested. I'm worried about being betrayed all the time. There's a lot of concerns that I had in that game that I don't have in the legal game. So it's a much more profitable, much more fun shift to go from illegal to legal. But you have to decriminalize, and that's what most people don't understand. And it took me a long time to decriminalize my thinking. So really important to do the work, get help, get mentorship, and just make the commitment, to become a different person.
What about like if you're in an area where, man, that's very difficult to do, easier said than done? Leave.
Get out of the environment. Yeah.
Move.
Go. Yeah. I mean, human beings, I see vagrants that figure out how to get $100 a day in any city you drop them off in, right? So if you have the desire and you want it bad enough, you can change your life. And there's no excuses for that.
What do you attribute to that changing or that decriminalization? What happened?
You know, I learned a lot of things the hard way, right? You know, I was spiritual. So I was grateful to God to get me out of the situation I was in. And then as I did the work, I realized that there was a higher degree of life that I could be living had I made some different choices. And when you make bad choices, you suffer. When you make good choices, you know, you get joy and happiness and other higher octane fuel sources. And so through trial and error, I just realized, you know, some of the suffering that I had was by my own bad decisions. And I started optimizing and making changes by the mercy and grace of God.
Did you have a mentor helping you see that, or did you realize it?
Many mentors in many seasons have taught me exactly what I needed to know. And that's why I'm such an advocate of mentorship and why I've committed my life to mentoring others, because it was mentors that pulled me out of many dark places and helped me become successful so that I could serve others.
See, that's one of the things I also made mistakes. Like I had to learn everything the hard way.
Yeah.
My book's called The Hard Way, Lessons I Learned the Hard Way So You Don't Have to.
Yeah. And
I wish that I would have been smarter to seek help, ask, and then take their advice. Because if I got advice, don't get me wrong, I got tons of advice, but I was like, dude, you're smoking.
Yeah.
And then looking back, especially with my dad in a lot of cases, you know, he gave me great advice. I just didn't follow it. But then again, he also died with no money.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm probably the first one in the family that's actually made something on accident.
Yeah.
So I could have taught him some things, it looks like, but I wish I'd have listened to a lot of the things he said. There was people that probably would have helped me, but I was that guy you're talking about, uncoachable.
Yeah. So everyone is sent to teach us a lesson. Everyone who shows up, it could be an interview, could be a podcast guest. In this case, you're teaching me a lesson. We're all here teaching each other. It's extracting the lesson, understanding what the lesson is. And then if there's a pattern, you keep hearing the same lesson over and over, then you know that the universe, our creator, the divine, whatever your belief is, it's showing you that there's a pattern here. And lessons will repeat until they're learned. And so once you identify what the lesson is, and you have awareness of it, and you do the work to learn the lesson and embody that as wisdom, you then move on to a new lesson. And that's how you speed your growth, is you learn the lesson quickly and you move on to the new lesson.
So all the listeners listening, what ideal customer or mentee are you looking for?
Somebody who is, you know, I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years, so I'm most suited in this season to work with people that have 20 or so employees or more, doing at least 10 million a year in revenue, because I can help them optimize very quickly and I can see patterns and help them move quickly from, say, 10 to 100 and create a lot of value. 50 million to 100 is also a good sweet spot. And then at the $100 million plus, we're still creating a lot of value, but we're more optimizing. It's a different optimization set. Like I can create 10x value in a company that's doing 10 million, taking them to 100 million to $1 billion is a lot bigger value proposition. But you know, I work in those environments too.
Well, when they're doing 10 million in top line, but their bottom line is negative 100,000, what do you do then?
Well, I mean, that's just because they don't have religion around profitability, right? If you're doing 10 million, you've not properly structured your business and you've not thought about your model and your forecasts and your financials in a prudent way. And so you either should cut expenses and take some cash off, start actually earning a living, or you need to start scaling revenue as fast as possible and leverage those assets you put to the table.
Or some cases, both, I bet.
Yeah, generally I get in there and I immediately look for, and I'll just give you a framework, is I look for what are the opportunities to save money? What are the opportunities to make money? What are the opportunities to improve cash flow? So I look for those three and I go through every detail. And then I identify those opportunities and I put a value next to them. So cost savings initiatives of 100,000 or $1 million or whatever it is. And I rank it by the amount of resources that it will take to yield that. So 1 being 0 resources, 5 being high. 1 is low hanging fruit. So I'm just going after the highest dollar amount, least resources, and I'm going after lowest hanging fruit in every environment that I'm operating in.
Would repricing be one of them?
Yeah. And just talking to an entrepreneur, you can tell where maybe they haven't increased their prices in a couple of years, or maybe they have a value equation issue. They're not sure how to value themselves. Or they're just, they're afraid to ask for what they're worth, right? So oftentimes in the conversation, you hear where the weaknesses are, and you hear the areas of their business that they operate like hobbies versus the practice areas that they operate professionally. And I look for where they're being hobbyists and where they're being professionals, and I just go tackle the areas that they need to professionalize.
Do you just do meetings with them, or do you give them written instructions and written plans?
Written instructions, written roadmaps. But I evaluate their financials. I go through every detail of it. I ask them lots of questions. And then after I have a plan, then we just execute to the plan, much like I would if I was working with a high-level executive in any of my environments. So here's the plan. Let's execute on the plan. I've run multiple companies in multiple industries, and I teach them how to be a CEO.
Have you ever taken one that's heading in the wrong direction? Meaning because it's easy, or I should say, to come in and say, hey, you need to hire these 3 people and start doing this, and there's a budget to do it. But if they're not financially sound, there could be no budget. So do you go in there and perform triage first? Yeah.
Sometimes I have to come in there and do surgery to make the budget, to invest in the initiatives. Sometimes I'll help them raise the money to get the capital to invest in the initiatives. And sometimes it's as simple as improving their cash flow processes to create the money to invest in the initiatives. But I never let money stop me from executing. Money is an excuse. I don't have the money as an excuse. It's never let money stop you from executing on a good idea.
What about specific industries? Do you like SaaS? Do you like there's HVAC companies that are totally scalable? They're just not.
Yeah, I operate in every industry that my values can support. I'm not operating in industries that I don't believe in the actual business model. And I have to believe that the more that I do in this company, the more tithing will happen, the more philanthropic activities will happen. And if I help this founder get a big exit, they're gonna give back to their church or to their charities. They're gonna do great things. So I have to believe in the outcome that I create for me to invest in it. So I don't invest in a lot of industries, but the ones where I believe they're doing important work and I believe in the founder, I want to help that founder get as rich as possible so that they can do as much good as possible.
That's probably also why you try to have faith-based people.
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to, for example, I gathered a group of founders to donate to foster children. I want to know that when I help this person make $50 or $100 million, that more good in the world is going to be done as a result. And so, I have to do that calculation.
Dude, if I cleaned up my language, I'm a perfect candidate for you.
Yeah.
I got more than 20 employees. We're doing more than 10 million. And I got multiple companies. And that might also be another issue. You ever find people are too diluted from multiple things?
Yeah. When you're running multiple companies, you have to have highly proficient people, and you have to know your role in those companies. And you have to make sure that the way things are delegated, the way decisions are made is highly optimized for you to be able to move in and out of different environments and switch very quickly and make key decisions. And that other people are making the other decisions in your absence. And, it is complicated to run multiple companies. And so it does require some leadership skills and some process and systems to do that.
So how would you describe me if I'm the guy that thinks up great ideas and then wants everybody to get in place and execute those ideas, where he just drives attention and vision?
If you have people that are highly incented to execute on those ideas, that are very competent, that complement you, then it can work very well. But if you don't, if the people can't take this idea and run with it, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about attracting A players, developing them, holding them accountable, and and delegating responsibility to those people and making them earn that delegated responsibility and making them earn the trust that you give them. A lot of the mistakes that I have made, and we all make as entrepreneurs, is we take people from 0 to 100% trust very quickly. And it takes time to develop 100% trust, for example.
Yeah. See? Pay attention, folks. I've done that a million times. I still do it.
Yeah.
I just did it. I'm doing it now.
Yeah,
it's because I want so bad for these people to appear. As soon as I see one that like probably deserves a little more trust than the norm, all of a sudden you give it all to them. It's like, dude, you're the one. Then you find out later they weren't technically ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think of trust as having levels. Level 1, we know that we're not going to harm each other. Right. And okay, we're there. Then level 2, will I leave my desk and know that you're not going to go look at my journal or go through my finances? And I like to think about the different levels of trust and at what level am I willing to assign this? And it takes sometimes years to build to the highest levels of trust. So we don't want to assign it too quickly.
Yeah. Well, you got some good advice.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let me ask you a question. What can the bomb squad do for you?
Let's go, man. You got access to a lot of entrepreneurs that are kingdom-based, faith-based, that want to scale. I certainly can help you scale your business too. Let's do it.
Well, what do you like? Do people just reach out, go to altercall.com?
Yeah, you can go to altercall.com or you can find me on social media. I'm at real Ryan Blair on Instagram, and I do read my own Instagram and dive in there. And
if you go get the book, does it say a little bit about what you believe? How does someone know that you're the one? Other than your background, because again, guys, if you can just Google the guy, he's definitely done some cool things. But how would someone realize, yeah, this is the one I want to talk to? And roughly, what's the price? Like, what is it? How do you operate? Do you operate on equity or cash? A little equity, a little cash?
Yeah, I'm primarily cash based. I have done some equity and cash arrangements, but primarily cash based. I charge $400,000 a year for my primary mentorship. And then my team and the coaches that I have are less than that. But if they want to work with me one-on-one, the minimum price of entry is $400,000.
Well, that's not bad.
It's not bad. I work with them on a weekly basis.
Oh, well, that's not bad. Yeah. I'll have to sell my watches.
Yeah. One of them.
No, man, but that's not bad. I was expecting a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Why, how did you come up with that pricing model?
So, I was making $10 million a year as a CEO of Visalis. And so, that's my rate, $10 million a year, basically.
So how often you say once a week?
Yeah. Once a week.
And they come back with like reports and
every week we're problem solving. We're working on anything stopping us from achieving our objectives. We have an agenda. After I onboard them and I give them a 90-day plan, we're executing toward that plan.
Are you month to month?
No, well, I make them pay in advance for the entire year because we're going to need to go through an entire year journey. And sometimes it'll take me a year to get it turned up. And I don't want to be in the business of chasing people down every month.
What if they don't have it?
Then they're probably not the right fit, or they can work with one of my other coaches that I've taught. And I'll deploy them in their environment.
You don't give any financing options?
I have taken payment plans on occasion, but they have to put some serious skin in the game up front because I'm going to live in their problem. I'm going to put a lot of energy into it. And I'm not in the business of like collecting people's monthly payments.
Well, how many people can you handle?
Right now I have about 15 of those, what I would call level. I have like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. That's my highest level. I have 15 of those. I could probably get up to about 20.
Yeah. Cause after a while, dude, you'd be maxed out.
I equate it to playing chess. I've been playing chess my entire life. 27 years of playing chess as a master, so to speak, as a professional player. I can get in and out of a chessboard very quickly and advance, chessboard very fast. And I love playing it.
Are you scored, ranked?
What's that?
Are you scored?
No, I don't actually. I'm not an actual chess master, but I draw the parallel between playing chess and being a chess master. Yeah. I can look at a chessboard, see what you're doing, say, make these 3 moves. We advance your board. Then I can jump to the next board. Let's make these 3 moves, so forth.
Do you ever assess them first?
Oh, yeah. I assess everybody first. I do an hour call with them. And before I engage with them at all, I want to make sure that they're fit. I believe I can help them advance. I'm excited by the project. They're excited by working with me. And so I do an hour call before I take anyone's money.
Yeah. Well, again, the hour call is what I would highly recommend everybody do.
Yeah. It's expensive. Bless you.
Thank you.
It's expensive use. Bless you for that. Recommending everyone that do my hour call as well. But it's I don't want to work with people that aren't going to take action quickly. When they start getting wins, it fills up my tank. It's when you share a gift that you have with others, you get unlimited blessings from it. So when I share my gifts with others and it gives them blessings, it gives me blessings. And that's the system that I'm building.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, if you can't help them, then you can't help them.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of guy that like, I won't take your money unless I think I can help you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there, they just want to get your money, whether they can help you or not, or whether their product or service helps you or not. It's like, let me just get the clothes so I can make rent and pay my bills.
When you do that, you will slow down your progress, right? When you take money that's unhappy and you take the wrong money, that you now have a debt. And that debt will have a burden. Yeah. So you have to be very careful about those types of engagements.
Yeah. Well, I used to be that way, where if I was closing you to get paid so I could go pay bills and live and get rich. And then accidentally, I just switched, and I didn't realize I switched until I looked back, and I'm like, because someone asked me one time, when do you think everything kind of changed for you? And it was 8 years after that. Yeah. It took a while. It wasn't immediate. But again, I mean, right now I feel blessed even if I lost everything personally, because my health, my kids, and, the things that matter. Yeah. But until I made that shift, now you could say right now, Brad, I need Lightspeed to help me with this. And if I didn't think it would help, I say, oh, you can do that with a YouTube channel, or, hey, go get this thing. And you'll do the same thing. And I think I just do it because I think that's what people should do.
Yeah, I believe we should attract who's for us and repel who's not, right? Literally repel them. If they're not for us, we need to repel them, because if we take them on, it'll slow down our progress.
Not to mention, how do you think you repel people?
Some people don't value mentorship at all. So if they don't value that, then I'm not interested in working with them. Two, if they're not faith-based, kingdom-based, that's one way to filter people out. And then I would say that if they're not willing to go through the process that I have put together to vet them, then that's part of the process of repelling people. There's some people with big egos and big companies that don't want to go through my process. And, we just say, sorry, we're a systems-based company. We run a process. If you're not interested in following this process, we're not interested in working with you.
You would almost think like everyone listening to this that is at least kind of meeting your criteria would want a consultation. Yeah. Does that cost?
No.
So your phone might blow up depending on how many of them are at that level. Because I always underestimate how many like legit people are following me, but they always surprise me. I'm always like, damn, dude, you guys were listening to the show? They're like, absolutely. It's great. I love it. So you may get overwhelmed. They just book a call?
Yeah.
Because like I'm about to book a call as soon as I get off. Because again, I qualified. And the question is can you help me is the question, because I would want that call just to see if you are willing to, because the fact that you're willing to with that criteria would give me some sort of, hope, if it, as it were. Why? Yeah. Because again, I mean, you might look and go through my finances and understand and ask your questions. And then you go, I don't know if I can help you, bro. And then I'd be like, dang, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the company has exit potential, then, I worked with private equity for many, many years in my career. That's why they can come in, buy a company and hit the gas on it and then sell it for even more, because there's processes that we put in place, the way we budget, the way we scale, the way we manage our people, our systems, our products, our projects, all of that. And so that's why. So I can take any company and scale it, provided I like the entrepreneur. I believe they're willing to, execute, that they're seeking to execute, and they'll raise their standards of excellence as they execute. they won't get comfortable. If all of a sudden we're at 10 million or 20 million, they're not going to get comfortable and start taking, an inordinate amount of time off and having an existential crisis because now they've got some money in their pocket. I want to work with entrepreneurs that they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they want to make a big impact and want to see what they're made of.
Yeah. Well, you might get overwhelmed, my friend, because I've got a lot of, I think, listeners that do that. So get ready. I
would love that, my friend.
And if you're ever back in Vegas, I mean, there was a bunch of things I wanted to get to. We didn't get a chance to. So I'll extend the next appearance after this one drops. And we got some more stuff to talk about.
Let's do it again.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Folks, you guys can follow this dude at Real Ryan Blair. You can Google him or go to @AltarCall if you want to follow on Facebook. His website is AltarCall, just like I assume the altar at the church.
ALTER, a little different.
Altar, alter like what you're doing.
The journey inward, right? To alter.
Is it a double entendre?
A little bit.
Yeah, because it's also altar, but not spelled that way.
Yeah.
AltarCall.com. Go get his book. Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, and Rock Bottom to Rock Star. And as always, until next time, keep it real.